Hello, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Amaj Ali, clinical audiological scientist and founder of Heureka OS. This is the eighth audiogram that we'll be simulating today. And for those who have been following us up to this point, I really do appreciate those who subscribe to the channel. It's really encouraging for a new fledgling channel like myself to see engagement. If you do have some time, just leave a little comment with questions, anything you want to do. It's a new channel. I will get back to you as quickly as I can. Regarding this particular audiogram, it's an interesting case. We have a bilateral, which is both ears, moderate mid-frequency, that's this area here, to profound high frequency, that's this region here. Sensory neural hearing loss, we know that because if we go to the actual audiogram, there's bone conduction values that correspond very closely to the air conduction values. Without any major gap, we conclude this is a sensory neural hearing loss. It was also mentioned in the audiogram that there is a cochlear dead region, and that was, if I remember correctly, between 3 and 8 kilohertz. That actually means that there's no hearing function past 2 kilohertz, and all of the space here, there was actually certain points here that have no solid line connecting the points. That means that there was no response at the highest level that the hearing test machine could go. So cochlear dead regions are an interesting phenomenon. It's very similar to when you hear the term blind spot. That's part of the retina where there's no cones and rods. Equally with the cochlea, there are certain types of hearing loss where you can get certain portions of the basilar membrane, which is where the hair cells are, where there's no more nerve endings or nerve function. So that would be a cochlear dead region. So what we're going to do today is a bit different from the other videos. We're going to add classical music and see how music sounds. Music is very interesting. I will go through the differences in a moment, but we will start with a speech. And for those who are watching this video for the first time, I would recommend that you go to a quiet spot, that you turn the volume up high, and if you have a good pair of earphones around, to use the earphones. If you are in a noisy place, when I press simulate, it'll just sound like it's off. But if you're in a quiet place, you probably squeeze one or two words coming through, and that's the actual goal, is to create awareness. So significant others, friends and families and loved ones of people with hearing loss can actually hear what a person with hearing loss is experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So without any further ado, we're going to go to a female voice. If you see this highlighted on the top right, that's the left side. If you see the right, the red line is the right ear. So the red ear is the right side. I know it's opposite when you're looking at the screen, but this is the convention in audiology. Red is right, blue is left. And when I press simulate, that's when this highlights to gray, and that's when we go into the simulation mode. Without any further ado, we're going to start with the left side, and here we go.
The roster of Nobel laureates is studded with the names of great and deservedly illustrious persons. Some dreamers, some men of action, a few true geniuses. But there are giants missing from the list. For example, the most fundamental contribution to the physical sciences that has come out of America is the work of J. Willard Gibbs.
So the audibility of the voice is there, very indistinct, very difficult to work out what she's saying, even in the most ideal listening conditions here, which just goes to show it's a very significant hearing loss on the left side. And the frustration would be that you are aware that people are talking, but it just sounds like they're mumbling. And it is challenging for the fact that there is a cochlear dead region here. So how a hearing aid is fitted to this ear has to be done in a very bespoke way, with a lot of experience and using the right tools. So this is the left side. We're going to now go to a male voice. I suspect because male voices are more low frequency dominated, that the male voice may be a bit easier to hear. Let's give that a go and see. Here we go.
No recurrent event in the intellectual world is so avidly awaited by so many people as the annual announcement of the Nobel Award. No formal honor conferred by man carries such distinction as a Nobel Prize.
So yes, I would say the words were a little bit clearer, easier to discern, but overall very difficult because of the whole clarity issue. If I'm just comparing male voice to female voice, is a bit easier with a male voice. We're going to now go to the right side and do the same. The difference between right and left is very important to highlight, is the gray shaded area. That's the speech banana. That's where the phonics are. So in order for you to capture what somebody's saying comfortably, ideally this line should be all above it. As you can see, anything below is within the audible range of this hearing loss. Anything above is what is outside of the range. So the more surface area that's covered below the line, and if you compare the right to left, there's more of the speech banana covered with the right side than it is with the left side. So in other words, the right ear will have more distinction, more clarity if you are comparing it to the left side. So let's run that and see. We'll start with a female voice. Here we go.
The roster of Nobel laureates is studded with the names of great and deservedly illustrious persons. Some dreamers, some men of action, a few true geniuses. But there are giants missing from the list. For example, the most fundamental contribution to the physical sciences that has come out of America.
So that's the female voice. We'll go straight to the male voice and do the same. Here we go.
No recurrent event in the intellectual world is so avidly awaited by so many people as the annual announcement of the Nobel Awards. No formal honor conferred by man carries such distinction as a Nobel Prize. The awards are presented on the 10th of December.
So very interesting. There is a distinct difference between right and left. The right ear overall is easier to work out what is being said. Male voices in general are easier than female voices with this type of hearing loss. And now we're going to toggle to music. So we haven't done this before. It's going to be quite interesting. We're going to go for classical music. We're going to start with the left side. I want you to pay attention and try to sort of get as many of the instruments that you can. You don't have to name the instruments unless you're a musician, but just try to identify as many of the instruments as you can. And as soon as I press simulate, which is when this goes gray, you'll notice it's as though I've taken so many of those instruments away, and only what you're getting is the rhythm of the music, and a lot of the timbre, a lot of the color and body of the music is suddenly missing. So it's quite interesting to see the difference. So let's do that with the left side first. Here we go. So, as you know, with most music, it kind of builds up and then the more and more instruments are added. That's why I've done that a few times this time. And you could see that every time I'm pressing simulate, it's just going down to the bass of the music, which is where most of the hearing is there within the bass sounds, and a lot of the instruments are suddenly just disappearing, going away, and you're not getting that full experience. So now we're going to go to the right side and see the difference. The difference will be less instruments are taken away. I know that sounds a bit odd, but just try to focus on the difference. In fact, what I'll do is when I simulate this, I'll toggle between right and left, so you'll see the difference between the two sides. Here we go. I'll start from somewhere in the middle where more instruments are playing. Here we go. It's almost like I added an instrument there. And I've taken it away. So I hope that was interesting. Thank you for your attention, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.